Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Super Lessons F1 podcast. My name's Rodney.
And my name is Zach.
And this is the Formula One show that definitely has lots of good things to say about Formula One all the time, and we definitely like each other.
That's it. You really set the tone there. I love Formula One so much that I watched most of the race at home on the couch and then had social plans in the afternoon, outdoor socially distanced, and I watched it on my phone whilst walking to those plans because those last kind of 15 minutes, not 15 laps, it seemed like nothing really happened. So then when I watched the replays and the highlights and stuff, it turns out that, that was the case. The classic case of, we've all done this. You're watching the highlights and it's like lap 1, 2, 5, 7, 9, 15, 22, lap 55. Like nothing happens. And just cut to the end. So I'm sure we'll have lots to talk about because it was the final race of the season. Do we have anything else planned, Rod, for this episode?
Well, yes, we're going to have a look at the Fantasy Focus, obviously. A very special look at the Fantasy Focus because Fantasy's done, baby. So we get to see the final results. And then I've got a super quiz cooked up. And that's it. Okay. I thought there was more, but a bit like the last F1 race of the season, there was no more on offer.
Not as much more.
While we've got you, before you all switch off and go and listen to My Favorite Murder or whatever else you subscribe to these days, we should call out that this is going to be our last race episode of the year. We aren't going to be doing a end of season show. We typically hook up with some little mateys of ours for a bit of I'd love to say that it's because we want to get more minds together, but really, the more people that you put on the podcast, this is the little secret. More people on the podcast, the less work you have to do. The more people on the show, the easier we can take it, and that's what we like around here, especially at the end of the year. But we'll put together an end of year show with them. But you also, Zach, are throwing open the doors to the listeners.
Ah, yes, with the for the end of season show. So because we'll do that with our maters, as Rod said. But we always do our own little bit as well, and we would love to hear from you some questions. So you can pop them on the Discord. If you're in the Discord, if you're not already, please join. You can pop your questions in there. You can tweet your questions to us, email your questions to us. Big reflections on the season, stuff you want us to talk about for next season. Any thoughts that hopefully end in a question mark is generally the thing. I know I've sent questions into podcasts before and they tend to be like, here's all my opinion. Do you share same opinion? But
did you guys notice this thing? And then you just go on about 5 pages about a thing that you thought.
Yeah, which, you know what? Fine. I'm happy to hear them all out.
Send those ones to Zach.
Yes. Zach at podcast.com. So yes, please send in your questions. We would love to get to them on the show next time. We'll make it a bit of a maily bag kind of show if we get some questions, which I hope we do, and we will. I'm sure people have been good about sending questions. Reflections on the season, asking us what we think. Don't ask us what you think. We can't guess that. We can guess. But yeah, it'll be fun.
We're on form today, mate. Thank you. One bit of news that you wanted to get into, a little bit of an investment happening for the McLaren team. I'm more than willing to admit that I don't fully understand what's in it for the investors in this case, but it seems that they have sold their headquarters to another party and they are leasing it back, which I understand gets you a lot of money in the short term, but how does it benefit you possibly in the long term? Someone needs to explain this to me. I need diagrams and maybe even a cartoon character to explain it.
I suppose it just means you don't have to lose those premises, right? It can be cheaper in the short term, being like maybe the next 5 to 10 years for McLaren to kind of have someone who has I think it's about a third of the stake in McLaren now. But those people own the premises. So it kind of stays in the McLaren family, I guess. And you get I'm sure McLaren Group gets very good leasing terms on their premises from whoever has bought, or from the consortium or group, or I'm sure it's like a venture partners, something like that, has bought it. It just means, good for McLaren, because it was only a couple of seasons ago we were talking about how crap they were, and now we'll get to this, but they've had a pretty good season, and things are swinging up, and they seem pretty well organized. Got a nice new driver coming in next season, who we kind of like. So, that you want this kind of movers and shakers. It's not like somebody had to come in and like bail them out. They just needed a bit more money to keep driving forwards, to buy those super expensive Mercedes power units.
I just think it's interesting, I guess, that they must have known that they were going to finish probably third, maybe fourth, or even probably fourth, or at best third in the championship. And they were still like, even looking at that, it's still not looking good. We're still going to do something. I guess they might have been cooking this up for who knows how long. This might have been 3 years in the making, this deal. So who knows? But anyway, for what it's worth, McLaren are looking in a better financial shape right now than they did a year or two ago. Really, really keen to see how you go recapping the race. So can we get into the race?
Yes, please.
Let us race a bit. I gave him space.
Suck my balls, mate.
Let's hurry up and get out of here. We got a race to do.
The F1 gods are not smiling on you, Zach. It is your turn in the rotation to sum up this race in only 30 seconds. This is going to seem like 100 years in recap time, but that's the challenge. Do you think you're up to it?
You know what? This is going to be my best one. Much like one certain driver's best weekend.
Ooh, save it for the recap. All right, you ready?
Yes. Max Verstappen took pole and took the win. Pretty much felt like lights the flag. Can you say that when you don't lead every single lap? But that's what it seemed like. He got out to an early lead. Then Perez's car sadly just stopped working. He was really sad and kind of resigned and angry as well about that. No major goodbye for him. No cutting through the field that we're all super excited about. Instead, Verstappen just continued lead. There were some midfield battles, some nice overtakes from Gasly. Ricciardo held on some big tyres but didn't make any big gains there. McLaren finished, fifth and sixth?
Fourth and fifth, I thought. But anyway,
fourth and fifth.
Pretty good.
Is that right? Yeah. Where did Albon finish?
Oh, Albon was fourth. So it was fifth and sixth. Yes, sorry, you're right.
I thought you just undermined my whole recap there. Jeez.
That's all right. The recap was very good. It was a bit of a character study. It was almost like something by David Mamet or something. The race itself, though, that wasn't anything like anything by David Mamet. That was more like something by Samuel Beckett, where in the first half nothing happens, and then in the second half nothing happens again. It was all really, it really was made and ruined by this Perez safety car, where his car conked out, seals his fate, sadly, in, I don't know, there's so many question marks and so many uncertain things, but is it maybe his last F1 race? To end that way would suck, but also...
He's got heaps of good deals lined up for 2022, Rod. Like, there's
so many deals.
Millions of seats available, according to him.
Yeah, exactly. According to him and his people, it'd be funny to be like, so we were interested, Red Bull, we're interested, but we are talking to a few other people, and they're like, oh yeah, who? We're talking.
You wouldn't
to
have heard of
Hasney,
them, actually. No, they go to school in a different town, actually. Different school.
You would know. You would know about them.
You wouldn't know about them. I only see her on the weekends.
There's 20 new teams lined up to get into the sport. So, I mean, there is that talking point. Unfortunately, though, for us, Max Verstappen, Bottas, and Hamilton all pitted behind the safety car, which meant they were all on the same strategy. Hamilton was sort of making some noises like, come on, we had a different strategy. Come on. I think one of the interesting talking points, just to throw an extra thing in the mix here, was the performance of Albon, who finally realized, I'm the number 2 Red Bull driver. If we're in the second fastest car this weekend, I should probably be in the top 4. So him kind of lingering behind the Mercedes, I think limited the options for Mercedes to just say, let's pit early, let's stay out, let's do something crazy and see what happens, because he was in the mix and just looming. And that's, that's the role that he should have been playing the whole year.
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right. I think Mercedes just played conservative. I mean, they had this thing where their MG UK was on its last legs, they said, for both of them, but there was like 0.1 of a second per lap, which is kind of nothing.
It's weird that they build them on legs, though. Yeah,
I know, right? But they just seem to be conservative in all of their choices, in all of their tactics, and in everything. It's just like they were like, we don't want to fuck around, actually. Let's just get home. Let's have a good showing for the end of the season. 2 and 3, not hard. We'll create this fake narrative that this sport is competitive in any way by letting Red Bull win a race. That looks good for Formula One. So, maybe it'll give Red Bull a little bit more of a we'll keep going in 2021 and 22. But yeah, Albon, you're exactly right. He just kind of did his own thing. No one looked like they were really going to catch him either. He made a couple of good overtakes at the start, I want to say. Pretty sure that's what happened. He's feisty, which is good. And I hope he's just kind of calmed down. There was news this week has been Red Bull will make a decision by Christmas. That seems late to me. Remember the days when like a late November call on a seat seemed like so late in the season? And now it's like, we'll sort it out before Melbourne. We'll get someone in the car. Don't worry about it. So
yeah, but Hamilton's in the same position. He's like, oh, it'd be nice if I knew whether I was driving next year or not by maybe Christmas. It's like, well, yeah, of course it would. It would be nice for all of us to know that.
Yeah. I suppose if your contract's up in the air, you can take a really good break over Christmas because no one can ask you to come into the office or anything, right? You just be like, well, I don't know if I'm even racing for you next year, so who knows?
Yeah,
I'm on a beach.
Maybe it could go the other way, where they're like, do we want to sign a guy who spends the off-season on a beach or in the gym?
True.
Hey, I'll tell you what, one of the most exciting, it's hard to drum up some excitement, but one of the most exciting talking points coming into the race was the battle for third in the championship. So it was between Renault, Racing Point, and McLaren, although really it was between McLaren and Racing Point. And it had been kind of swaying around, seesawing, and obviously Sergio Perez was on for a podium in Bahrain, didn't get it, and that ruined, it looked, their chances of getting third. Then he wins at the Sakhir Grand Prix, and then it looks like, hey, 25 points, there's no way they're going to be beaten for third in the championship now. Then in this race, obviously he retires, and then Stroll kind of all at sea. And then two really good performances from the McLaren drivers helps them secure third. So I did sort of, at least it was a sway back and forth kind of battle. But McLaren ultimately, with two drivers delivering points pretty consistently throughout the year, they should have been odds on to clinch that one. And I think it really says how well Perez has been driving, given that he delivered a whole shitload of points to Racing Point throughout the season. That he was keeping that fight alive for them, really. So they really owe it to him.
Yes, and I'm sure they'll give him a really good quality pen as a goodbye present or something. Just a really nice watch. Oh,
there's something weird I saw was, sometimes at the end of the year, drivers do helmet swaps. Guess which two drivers did a helmet swap today?
Today or this weekend or
yesterday, today after the race.
I'm sure I saw a Vettel to Leclerc one that was like, "You're the greatest driver I've ever met, and I love you so much, and thank you so much for helping me out."
Thanks for ruining my relationship with Ferrari. But the other one, the one I'm digging towards, Perez and Vettel.
Oh,
just giving it smiles for the cameras, handing each other helmets, and it's like, ha ha ha, you stole my seat.
Yeah, ha ha ha, and I'm way better than you.
Ha ha ha. Well, who's saying that? Perez, I guess.
Yeah, Perez is saying that, I guess.
Suppose so.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I feel like the McLaren Racing Point battle wasn't sorted out on the track, though, which is annoying in my mind. And I'm sure we'll talk more about this in our end-of-season recaps and rewinds. Rewind. That's what it's called.
Do you mean over the season?
Yeah, over the season. And I know that's how constructors work out, right? And the constructors' battle is generally a one of reliability and also raceability, but it does feel like Sainz had a season of like, it's all going well, my car stopped, like lots of DNFs, and maybe that's just anecdotally remembered as opposed to looking at the actual stats. But then that seemed to be Sainz's like first half of the season, and Racing Point were doing well-ish enough, and in the second half of the season, McLaren kind of got their act together, and it's been a little better. Sainz has had a proper kind of run into points all the time, same with Norris as well. And Racing Point have been a little less, I don't know, they've been very good, but then they've also been randomly hit by problems in the second half of the season, while McLaren have been more stable. So it's kind of, as you said, it's seesawed around. It was nice for it to come down to the last couple of races. Obviously, something for us to actually look at. But it is a little bit disappointing that it feels like a car breaking down was kind of the decider between those two teams, as opposed to, like, I can't really remember these great on-track battles between McLaren, Renault, and Racing Point. It was more like reliability, which is a bit of a shame.
Yeah, you're probably right. And I mean, having said that, we're probably going to get the Netflix Drive to Survive season next year, and it'll be full of battles on track battles between them two. But anyway, I know what you mean, though. It's not as simple as like, wow, well, it was a battle between Sainz and Perez for the win, and Sainz won, therefore McLaren inherited the championship, P3. But there's not much you can do about that. And I mean, at the end of the day, it was always going to go down to me, in my opinion. It was always going to go down to the team that could more consistently just nab those podiums when they were on offer. And, Perez got a couple, but really, well, I don't know. Actually, we're going to get into the Superquiz, who got podiums, who didn't, so I don't want to give too many numbers away. But anyway, you've got here a big list of goodbyes. We should go through all of them, and I think there's probably like I said, there's some not good buys, but question marks about like, well, what's this person doing? Do you want to go through them or do you want to hang out? I don't know. We should just cover these. This is interesting.
Well, yeah, it is interesting. I mean, the Vettel and Ferrari one, he's obviously not leaving the sport, but he's off to Aston Martin Racing. He was handing out the beers, getting all chummy with everyone.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, handing out the Heinies. That's what people call Heinekens, right? Heinies. Probably not. I wonder if there was the 0.0 ones, the alcohol.
That's what I was wondering too, because I was even trying to look for some chat about like, wait a second, you can't drink there, right? Isn't that a thing? Yeah, apparently you can drink in your own house and that's fine. But apparently, I just don't know how legal that was. But anyway, don't get him in trouble. He was handing out Heinekens, and I hope that they weren't 0.0.
Yes, and it was fun and nice.
Yes. Vettel leaving Ferrari. We've got lots of other who have we got here? Magnussen leaving Haas and F1 for now. Obviously, so too is Grosjean. Well, most likely, yes. Magnussen's lined up a drive in some weird US formula that someone was giving a shit about on Twitter for never having heard of. And you know what? Fuck you. I've never heard of this fucking stupid thing that he's going to. So what? Who cares? It's got like 100,000 followers. The entire sport, the account for the entire formula, the grade, has 100,000. Like, that's nothing. Absolutely nothing. So I was really annoyed.
It's not a huge amount of
Anyway, don't know what Grosjean is doing yet. Another driver who is leaving a team but going to another team is Carlos Sainz, going to Ferrari from McLaren. Probably, going from a sunny disposition to a less sunny disposition. What do you say?
Yeah, I wonder how he's feeling about that, because McLaren feels, again, like it's all heading in the right direction at McLaren, and Ferrari is heading into, like, their CEO just kind of shock retired and left, like Ferrari CEO overall. So that's not great. The team kind of feels a bit weird. They're like really positive about their 2021 engine, but like 2021 is going to be one of those.
They were positive about
seasons.
this year's engine.
Yeah, I mean they've always been, have you ever seen them not positive about an engine? They're a bloody engine company.
That's true. That's what they do. They've also just had their worst constructors' performance in about 40 years. So boy, they've got a long way to come back from. So I guess they'll be looking for all the positives that they can, and they'll say, see, we came fourth this year. Last year we were shit. Now we're only fourth.
Yeah, and Leclerc is the golden boy.
Anyway.
Yeah, right?
That's true.
Sainz is not stepping in as number one driver. Leclerc is the number one driver there. So we'll see. Yeah. We'll see how that looks.
We'll see. Perez leaving Racing Point, obviously potentially going to Red Bull, in which case, if so, Albon will be stepping away from Red Bull. Maybe not completely, maybe stepping into some kind of test or reserve driver role. Still a bit unsure about what the difference between those two is, but anyway. Obviously another driver stepping away is Daniel Ricciardo from Renault, but obviously going to McLaren. So, you know, some of these are goodbyes. Some of them are sort of, I know what you would call a goodbye, where you just sort of, it's almost like at a party when you have to say goodbye to someone, but you just sort of like turn around and you're just suddenly in a different circle of friends. You're like, well, see you guys. I have to go join this circle now. It's a bit more like that. Some people are leaving the party altogether.
I wonder if Albon, like, because we haven't heard if it's Daniil Kvyat's last, like, if this is his last season.
Well,
either.
Yeah, I mean, that hasn't been officially announced, although Kvyat has apparently kind of just said, yeah, it's true. It's going to be Tsunoda. But that's not official at time of recording.
No, and that doesn't leave any spots for Albon. Because I was like, why don't they just put him in the AlphaTauri if they want to put Perez in the Red Bull? Like, that would be so easy. He gets along with Gasly. It's fine. He's raced there before. They're a really loving team.
They've got a lot in common.
Yeah, well, so, yeah, upgrades and downgrades. So, yeah, I'd be sad to see Daniil Kvyat go. I feel like he's had a bit of a resurgence of, like, competency, but also sharp words on the radio still, and he's just... Yeah. He's fine. Like, he
always
like
does
that.
This. He always puts in the good performances when it doesn't matter because the decision's already been made or whatever. It's like, hey, we're going to drop you from Toro Rosso. It's like, what do you mean? I was fourth. I'm like, well, you should have done that, 6 months ago and more consistently. Boy, I mean, there's just not much else to say about this race. I'm perfectly fine with moving on from here, but I guess if there's anything else that you want to add.
No, I'm literally scanning down the results. And I'm like,
okay, cool.
Is there anybody, Fittipaldi finished 2 laps down. Yep, nice to have you.
I mean, it was a poor showing from Ferrari. Obviously, we know that, and we don't want to keep flogging a dead horse. But I would say that it is surprising in that Charles Leclerc had a really strong second half of the year. So
good qualifying,
for Vettel
all this
to be,
kind of stuff too.
Yes, for Vettel to be nowhere. maybe not such a surprise. For Leclerc to be nowhere is a bit different. I guess the other one is maybe Hamilton. He sort of said, maybe I'm still recovering from this COVID thing. It's like, oh boy,
That's worse than
you
I
tested
thought.
negative a couple of times. I hope that's all fine. But obviously just not race fit. I mean, usually sitting out 2 weeks is not a problem for a driver, but I guess in this season, that's sort of not really the usual season. Maybe sitting out a race has a bigger effect, but also he's just, not racing at 100%. I also pointed out, hey, stupid thing that I said last week when we were talking about George Russell and stuff. What happens if Hamilton comes back and Bottas beats him? Ha ha ha, as if that would happen. And then it did. So, boom. But the transitive property, Russell is better than Hamilton. You have it here confirmed.
Yep, that's it. You know who's better than the Ferraris in a Ferrari-powered engine from last year, basically, is Kimi Raikkonen. Just reminding everybody that he knows how to drive a car, finishing in 12th above the works Ferraris. That's so... man.
Boy.
How long, Kimi Raikkonen, is he just going to be pestering Formula One? Do you think he'll hang around Formula One, like, not always in a driving capacity, but do you think he would be the kind of person who would, like, team principally, maybe not that, but like, reserve test driver until he's 80? Because he could do that. Oh, he doesn't do a lot of sim work, does he? So maybe not. Just consultant on the side. One word cutting remarks like, how's it going? Bad.
He's in it. He's in it for the thrill of racing, and he's in it to support the team that's around him and keep them employed and just have fun times with them. So if any of those elements disappear, then I feel like Kimi would just, he'd be like, well, if I'm not having fun and I'm not racing around, the 3 tracks every year that I actually like and put up with the other, 20 or so, I'm out. And I could just have fun on the beach with my friends.
Yeah.
Or have fun in a weird snow place, snow cabin with my friends. I could do that too. That's fun. So, I feel like almost every year I say, yeah, Kimi's got to go soon, but he just never does. So why put yourself through that? Should we get into the fantasy league? Fantasy focus. Fucking hell. All right, Abu Dhabi. I'll do Abu Dhabi then. With the podium, rounding out the podium in third spot, Tertiary Racing by manager Tertiary Racing also. In second spot, the team, This Cat Picks Better Than You, manager by Mimi the Cat O'Donnell. I feel like that might be a secondary team or something. But anyway, up 9 spots in the league based on this week's performance and second for the race overall. Have a feeling you might have Verstappen in your team. But the unstoppable juggernaut at the top. In position number 1 for this week was Team Hypothesis manager, the same name, Hypothesis.
It's a good turnout for Hypothesis. Needed a good showing to shore up position in the overall league, which I'm going to do right now. We're going to go from third to second to first. Spin Master Vettel from team manager Kilogram 955 with 2,426 points. Held station, had jumped a couple of positions last week and got over Burnt Jeans, and has managed to hold on to third. So massive congratulations to Kilogram 955 and team Spin Master Vettel. In position number 2, fighting back after a small drop-off, but with a great performance this race weekend, Ipithis from team manager Ipithis with 2,430 points. Has managed to hold on to second. A sustained performance, I would say, all season. So well done. But, we're talking about sustained performance here. I feel like we've been talking about Romeo e Giulietta from Vincitore Racing, or from Vincitore, the manager. And the team is Romeo e Giulietta with 2,457 points. In position number 1, has been basically leading from, I feel like, week 3. I feel like I've said that. I feel like I can say the name Romeo e Giulietta pretty well now because of that.
Yeah.
Position number 1. What can we say? A terrific performance.
We put that pronunciation guide that they sent through to work for sure. An incredible performance. He's only gone and done it. Just cleaned up the league. Just looking for other people who've done really, really sort of well. Like, I was going to pull out that one, but I've already called that out. Tangelo Racing this in the league also went up 7 spots to get into the top 20. Incredibly well done from them. Zachary Priest, Team Zero Engineering in number 16. So you went down 2 spots this race, but still in the top, in top 17. The 16, are you happy with that?
Well, I was until I saw in the main battle here.
Oh, no.
Eyes Up
Look at
Auto
15.
Art. Team manager Zachary Carroll jumped 4 positions this week, and that was it. That's it. I didn't know if I wanted to talk about it, but this is a real shame. I love, what are the chances of the two Zacharys finishing right next to each other? But yeah, I lost out by a measly 6 points. So I reckon that probably comes down to predictions. But you got to hook up a whole race weekend, Rod, and I didn't do that. I didn't do it.
No,
Did you make it on the first page?
Look down at number 25, mate. Look at
there you
teams
are.
there. I said I had to slip. I said I didn't want to slip beyond 25th, and I didn't. So I'm taking that as a personal win. On the Zachary battle, I was thinking next year what we could do, because you've obviously got a clear nemesis in your namesake. I don't know that I have a namesake, but maybe I do. But even if not, I'm just going to pick a random person, and they're just going to be my nemesis, and I'm going to try and beat them every week.
Okay. Well, I look forward to hearing who that will be based on some teams.
The other thing, maybe we'll mention this next year as well, but it's like we have heard a lot of people say from this year, I'm in the other fantasy league and I hate it. It sucks so bad. So please, listeners, if you hear anyone saying, I'm in the official Formula1.com fantasy league and it's really bad, do you know any other ones? Tell them Fantasy GP is really good, and they can make one team and put it in whatever leagues they want. But obviously, we're most welcoming here in the Super License League, but really hopeful that more people will come and join this platform on the back of other platforms being absolute shite.
Yes, exactly. And I think this year, maybe last year they didn't do this, but this year they've done a nice season review for your own team, so you can look at like your global rank. What was the highest you got to? What was the lowest you were? If you just go to your pit wall.
Okay, we'll do that.
And it should be at underneath your thingy. So the highest I was ever in the league was... Oh, I've refreshed the page and now it's gone. Oh, I like the numbers all tick over.
Well,
the highest I was 2,393 and my lowest was 4,000. But I finished in the top quarter-ish, essentially, of all the teams, which felt really good. But my best race rank overall was 899, so I cracked the top 900 one weekend I finished 6,321st, which is pretty bad. So yeah.
My global final global rank, 3,097. Race ranks, my best race was Britain, 164th. And I know that there's tens of thousands of teams in this league, so it's not too bad.
That was also my worst race. That was the big weekend, obviously.
You think it would be the other way around with your local knowledge and such?
Yeah, I generally do a walk of the track the day before just to get a good, how tacky is it on there, making sure that everything's good, which is the better line to start on, those kinds of things, just get a real sense of how dense is the air. So, that kind of stuff.
Extra dense means extra grip.
Yeah, better for Kimi Räikkönen because he's a straight shooter.
Sure. Before we move on, thanks everyone who played fantasy. It's really, really good, really fun. And don't forget that if you're in the Discord, you can brag / share tips about your fantasy stuff in the fantasy channel. And we hope to see you all again next year. In the meantime, Zach, speaking of local knowledge, do you want to get into the super quiz?
Yes, please, Rod.
Well, excellent. I like a man who knows what he wants, and I like giving it to him.
We will accept a couple of questions. Should one only win one? Would one want to have won that one in round one?
Can you repeat the question?
Zach, as so often happens, 2 hours ago I did not have a quiz, and now I do. So yes, we made it. I thought that it was just too good of a name to go past without doing this. So this week's quiz is called the 2020 Hindsight Quiz. We're going to have a bit of a look back throughout the year, and I'm going to be really turning the screws on you about your knowledge about the year, some of the statistical peculiarities and interesting tidbits from the race results. Are you feeling confident?
No, but I'm feeling
good. Then I've done my job
energized.
with the intro. Very good.
Yeah, you've scared me, which is great.
Remember, we like F1, we like each other, and this is just a bit of fun. It's just a bit of fun.
I take these things really seriously.
You beat me in the fantasy league, and I feel like I'm playing something out here anyway.
Why don't you get Zachary Carroll on and do the quiz? Because he's so much better.
I need to.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it goes.
Leslie has better. Yeah, anyway. Okay, question number 1. So, Zach, there were 4 drivers who claimed the fastest lap this year that did not win any of the races throughout the season. I want you to try and name who they were.
Daniel Ricciardo got this one this weekend.
He is one, yes.
He's one of them. No wins. Wait, was his no wins overall, or didn't win that weekend that they got the fastest lap?
Didn't win any races throughout the year, but throughout the year, at least one race, they did get fastest lap.
Okay. So there's Daniel Ricciardo. He's got one.
Done it. You've only gone and done it. You got 1 point.
There's one. Great. Really good. I'm going to say like Pierre Gasly.
No, I'm sorry.
Did he win a race this year? Just make it on the podium.
He won a race.
Yeah, that was right. I thought I was misremembering that. I was like,
but he didn't get
yeah.
I don't think he got fastest lap anyway.
No, I don't think he did. I can't believe I forgot that Pierre Gasly won the race. Like, my brain's just like, Lewis Hamilton won every single race. I mean, part of me was like, Pierre Gasly won that race last year. That's not true. It's fake. Fake news.
So just go with your gut. Who else was fast but didn't win races?
I reckon Lando Norris probably got one.
Yes, that's right. You're on a better track now.
That feels good. Lance Stroll, did he get one?
No, don't have Stroll on the list.
No Stroll. So a Carlos Sainz?
Carlos Sainz, you 3 out of 3. Or 3
out of the 6 drivers that I've said, I feel like.
There's one left. One driver who got fastest lap but did not win a race.
Was it Charles Leclerc?
No, it wasn't Charles Leclerc. Do you want a clue?
Yes, please. Oh, yes.
Was only really in one race where he had a chance to win.
Oh. Was only really in one race where he had a chance to win.
Every other race didn't really have much of a chance to win.
Yeah.
It was only in one race where they even had a chance of winning. It was Russell got the fastest lap in that race, but just didn't win it.
Huh. Well,
so
that's a good little
Ricardo,
stat.
Norris, Sainz, and Russell all took at least one fastest lap this year and did not go on to win a race. Yeah, we got them all. We got there. Very good.
What a great thing the fastest lap is. So many drivers.
What a revelation for the sport it's been.
And it's just doing so much for the teams, getting them out there. No one remembers who gets it. No one gives a shit, but I'm glad that it's worth it.
It's all the kids on TikTok are talking about, just making their little weird tics or talks about fastest lap. It's incredible.
They should give a point for driver of the day, really. That's what should happen instead of that, because it's just as arbitrary.
Yeah, they may as well. All right, Zach, quick fire round. I'm going to name a driver's name. All of these drivers either got 1 podium or 2 podiums. I'm going to say the driver name. I want you to tell me whether they got 1 podium or 2 podiums. You ready?
Okay.
Nice and quick. Sebastian Vettel.
1.
He got 1. Esteban Ocon.
1.
1. Stroll.
2.
2, yeah. Gasly.
2.
1. Norris.
1.
1. Leclerc.
1.
2. Albon.
Really? Albon, shit. 1.
2. Sainz.
No. Sainz. 2.
No, Sainz got 1. Ricardo.
2.
2, yeah. Perez.
2.
2, yeah, exactly.
Fucking
Bit of
hell.
an eye-opener, this one, I reckon.
Yeah.
It's funny, like, especially, like, wait, Vettel got 1? And, like, you know, Perez only got 2?
Yeah.
What the hell? Funny.
Jeez Louise. It was a real shit show outside of the top, like, 3 drivers, right? If something happens to them, it's just like, it could be anyone who's going to end up on the podium.
Absolutely, you're not wrong.
It should have all been Albon. He should have had 7. Like, dear.
Oh my goodness, I've got egg on my face. I didn't do this. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 questions for you. Okay, so we've done 2.
Whew. Okay.
Question the number 3. We had back-to-back races in the same country 4 times this season. So we had, you know, sometimes they were on the same track, sometimes they were on a different layout of the track, sometimes they were in the same country but not on the same track whatsoever. But only 4 times did we have actual back-to-back races in the same country. The question for you, Zach, how many times did Hamilton win both of those races when they were back-to-back out of those 4?
I just thought I was running through my mind on like the countries. So like, this one, this one. Really, like, how many times has Hamilton won back-to-back? So we had 4 back-to-back races in the same country. I reckon Hamilton...
Out of those 4, how many times did Hamilton win both of them?
Shit, it should be easy for me to be like, okay, Hamilton won this one, and then he won this one. My gut says twice. That's not outstanding. I'm going to say 3 times he won back-to-back races in the same country.
Zachary Priest, would you believe the correct answer is None times.
No.
No times.
People are laughing at me right now. People are on there
No, they're not. No.
listening
I
to
guarantee you they didn't know
the
either.
show, and they're laughing, and they're like, God, Zach, didn't you know?
No.
You didn't win any races this year. It was all a dream.
No, not he won tons of races. That's what makes this interesting, is that there were 4 back-to-back races, but he didn't. None of those 4 times did he win. Both races, in all 4, he won one of the 2. But Bottas won one of the ones in Austria. Verstappen won the 70th Grand Prix, which was the one after Silverstone. That wasn't Silverstone. Gasly won the Italian one, and then Hamilton won in Tuscany. And then Perez won in the Sakhir Grand Prix. So Hamilton won the Bahrain Grand Prix, and Perez won the Sakhir. So interesting little tidbit there.
And people
Obviously,
say that Formula One is predictable. Come on.
No
way.
Man. Have you ever listened to the Superquiz? No way.
Yeah.
All right, Zach. Pole position was very much a Mercedes affair in 2020. Only one driver took pole who did not go on to win any races throughout the year. I want you to tell me who it was.
Lance Stroll.
Yeah, Lance Stroll, of course, took pole in Turkey. Verstappen had one pole, and he went on to win. Obviously, it was this weekend, but he also won the 70th Grand Prix. So he won 2. But Stroll was the only driver to take a pole who did not win. Very well done. I'd forgotten all about that. I had no idea.
Remember how we were all like, maybe he's
Stroll?
good. Maybe he's good. And then he finished 6th or something. Like, he just disappeared.
I think I was just washing my hair that weekend. I don't know. I just don't remember that at all. Anyway.
Job.
Okay, Zachary, 2 left to go. Which driver had more point scoring finishes, Antonio Giovinazzi or Nico Hülkenberg?
This is the classic Superquiz problem where it's like the fact that this is a question is like it definitely should be Nico Hulkenberg, but you might have done me dodgy here and really
either
fucked
one
me
of
around.
them is the interesting one.
Yeah, it's fucking. Did Giovinazzi ever finish in the points? I know he did because they did get some points this year. I want to say it was Hulkenberg. He got the points.
So proud of myself when I wrote this question, man.
Yeah.
Hulkenberg drove in 2 races, finished in the points twice. Giovinazzi finished in the points 3 times, twice I think in P10. And Hulkenberg finished ahead of Giovinazzi on the number of points that he scored, but Giovinazzi technically has more points finishes. Man, again, can't say how proud I was when I wrote that question.
I think Giovinazzi isn't like.
Yeah.
I really like the name. I like that he races for Alfa Romeo.
Good
I like
long
all
hair,
of the things.
solid eyebrows.
You can't even remember he's in the bloody sport though, right? Like he's the 20th driver I
anonymous,
name.
yeah.
If I was to sit in bed and be like, count the drivers to get me to sleep, I'd be like, okay, Daniel Ricciardo, Lewis Hamilton, Lance Stroll, Valtteri Bottas. Go through everyone and I'd be like, that's 18, maybe 19.
Yeah, you would be
Who the
like,
fuck am
there's
I
someone
missing?
else, there's one more. You'd be like that, yeah.
Yeah, I think I would get Latifi every single time before I got a Giovinazzi.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is, it's going to be, and then we got Fittipaldi as well. There's a nice Italian ring to it. There is a similar number of syllables. It's tough on my little old brain. I can only remember the 20 drivers in this current season, and we've had 24.
There were
25.
22.
No,
There were 24.
exactly.
No, 24. Zach, there's one last question. This one's, I feel like so far they've been really, really tough. Technical Formula One type questions. This one is a non-tough, non-technical, non-Formula One question. Finally, including this episode and our upcoming end of year show, how many podcast episodes will we have released this year?
This year.
You're
Shakedown
on the
included.
show.
Is Shakedown
show that
included?
you make. Yes, Shakedown's included.
And Dare to Swear?
Yes.
Okay, so I reckon there's 10
How
Dare to
many
Swears.
episodes are in our feed?
For 2020.
The main free-to-air feed.
Yeah, I'm going to say 2 pre-season. No, 1 pre-season. That feels right.
No.
17 races. So that's 18. Plus the Dare to Swears. There's 10 of those, 28. Plus maybe 5 shakedowns, 23. It could be 24. How many shakedowns? I can't remember the shakedown number. I'm going to say it is 23 episodes that we put out this year. No, it's going to be more than that. 33. 33, sorry. Yeah, 33. 17 plus, 33.
The correct answer will be 38.
What? What were the other
38.
episodes? Wait, wasn't there only 17 races? How many episodes?
We did a pre-season one. We did one for Australia that didn't happen. Then we did a second pre-season one before the first race in Austria. Then we did Dare to Swear, which was 10, but we also did one that was about the Black Lives Matter one.
Yep.
All that stuff was happening off there. 5 shakedowns, and then there was one episode that was not technically a shakedown, but it was a fuck around episode. It was just a bullshit episode. And then there's all the 17 races, and then there's going to be one more. So 38. Incredible. It's nearly twice as many as any other year that we've done this.
Yeah.
And I think also, not this isn't included because it didn't go out in our free podcast feed, but there was one episode that we did just for Super License Club members in the Patreon. Yes.
Content machines this year. Content. We're here to serve the content.
We're the Giovinazzi of F1 podcasting content. No one knows that we're doing it, but we are. We're putting it in.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be, we're building the audience up. We're producing our best content. We're really warming up for the 2021 season that's coming. That's going to be outrageously good.
It's like a tsunami. It's all coming. Zach, you did incredibly well on the quiz. Thank you so much.
Thank you for organising a really lovely quiz. I love those kinds of stats. Real good one.
Well, it's going to be a short show, but you probably were expecting that one coming in anyway. So it's time for final thoughts.
I almost accidentally said, is it time to move on to overheards? I've been listening to a lot of Stop Podcasting Yourself in the last couple of weeks. So I was like,
can't be angry at that.
I'm going to jump in here and do should we move on to the last segment? And my brain was just like, should we move on to overheads? No. Yes. Final thoughts. I have one. Do you want me to go first?
Great.
Yeah.
I don't mind.
I think fireworks are dumb at the end of the race.
What?
Yeah, I think it's dumb.
I don't think you realize what a controversial take this is.
I think it's dumb when the winner's driving down the straight at the end and they do those fireworks at Abu Dhabi along the straight while they're driving along. I think it's too far for Formula One. I think it's too fancy. I don't think it's really, because like Formula One doesn't end in a crescendo that way. Like races end like long marathon races end. Like it's not with oh my God, it's here, she's over the line. Like I always find that really kind of crazy that the commentators act like that too. Like I prefer like Singapore maybe where they do fireworks at the end of the race, like after the race, like, hey, celebrate the whole weekend, it's done, here's a big fireworks show for you, as opposed to he's crossing the finish line, here's all this fireworks stuff. I think that's stupid because I don't think that's how Formula One races end. It's generally the person who's in the front like slows down and pulls over to the side and like gets near the barriers so that they can wave to the crew and all that kind of stuff. It's very, very, very rarely like an absolute bitter fight to the end in a Formula One race. So the juxtaposition's too much for me. You know, it's, if anything, there should be something more signifying relief, as opposed to big celebration. So yeah, it's my controversial take. Get rid of them. Save them for like after the podium, or do them during the podium. That's a better use of fireworks.
Yeah, that's true. Turn the podium into like some kind of pyrotechnics, like Kiss concert or something.
Yeah, lasers, all this kind of shit. Like as the drivers come out, like make it more like a WWE wrestler. Not that I follow wrestling in any way, but like, or like when NBA players come out for the finals, stuff like that.
That
like,
is good. I've always loved that.
Here's Lewis Hamilton. And he can come out and be like, just want to say thanks to the fans. Cool shit. Like they should have entry music, like just good stuff. But no, it's just like, and your winner for this weekend, Lewis Hamilton. Here he is, presented by the trophy, presented by Minister of Sport. You
made a good point there, which was the fact that the winner crosses the line and pulls over next to the pit garage so that you can get the photo of the team hanging over the wall, raving their, pumping their fists in the air, all that stuff.
Unsafe,
that was a race
unsafe rod.
Well, jeez, it's because the cars are so wide, Zach. That's the problem.
Finally. Straight that off your bingo
someone
cards,
pointed
everyone.
out that there was, I can't remember what race it was, but we were behind a safety car at the end and they were like, safety cars are going to come in and the cars are going to cross the finish line. And that is to set the scene for the photo that goes in the newspaper. I feel like the fireworks is the same. It's kind of in that same camp. It's like, let's create some great photos that people can put on their websites, tweet about, put in there with the hashtag Bahrain Expo 2020, which for some reason they're running next year. I don't know why. That confused me the whole race because there was nothing else to focus on. I started looking at the banners and they were like 292 days to go until the Bahrain 2020 Expo. And I was like, what? That's next year. Anyway, well, look, the official position of Super License is 1 vote nay on the fireworks, 1 vote meh.
Meh.
So
you're abstaining.
Great.
You've abstained, which means I win.
It's the thing is that throughout my life, I've gone through phases of thinking fireworks are the best and also thinking they're the worst. And you just see people who are like looking at fireworks and going, oh, look at you getting impressed by big noises and bright, shiny colors. Ooh, aren't you? Ooh, what a dumb thing that you're excited by. But then there's been times where I was like, well, this fireworks are pretty damn good. So look, I don't know. I can't take a strong opinion anymore because I'm a hypocrite.
Oh, you're not a hypocrite, mate. Don't be so hard on yourself. Do you have...
I'm trying to not be hard on myself, but I'm also achieving that by not taking a strong opinion on things that don't matter.
You're being hard on yourself for not being hard enough on yourself, for not being hard on yourself.
All right, fine. Jeez, okay. Last show, jeez. You only have to pretend you like me for another hour and 5 minutes, and then we're done.
Then I can gang up on you with our podcast mates on the real end of season show.
Yeah, when you're when you're friends with someone, but then the cool kid's friends with you, and they're like, "Oh, we don't like that guy," and you have to be like, "Yeah, he's not good, is he?" I've never liked him either.
No, my mum, our mums are friends. That's why we hang out.
Yeah, he gives me left to school. That's all it's about.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to pretend to like him because we play football on the weekend. Anyway, I've got a final thought. If you want to hear what I think about the thing, for the final time.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I don't feel like we're going to get a chance, and it probably won't be appropriate to do this on the last episode of the year, so I'll do it now. Man, boy, we put out a lot of content this year, but amazing that the Formula One did the number of races that it did. I didn't think it was going to happen, and it did, which was pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Drivers had COVID and the train did not stop, so there was lots of races, lots of content for us to do. Hope you all liked it. On top of that, somehow I managed to do a second podcast. So, and again, I'm trying not to be gratuitous about mentioning it, but we're coming into the off season, and like I said, don't want to be doing this in the last, I don't want to leave people with that, taste in their mouth. So I'll do it here. Another podcast. It's about music. It's about the band Talking Heads. It's all about all their albums. And I don't know. It's something I've been chipping away at. And it might be something that some people might want to listen to in the off season. I don't know. There's about half a dozen episodes out now. Maybe go and subscribe now. And you've got it for when you have that car trip or get stuck in a tunnel or on a plane that's going down. I don't know your life. It's called This Must Be Talking Heads, and I work really hard on it, and it's so much work, but boy, I love hearing when people say, I love this podcast, please do more, make them every week. And I'm like, oh boy, it takes me 2 months to do an episode because my life is hectic. But it's a show that not a lot of people listen to, but they really seem to love it. So maybe you'll love it too. This Must Be Talking Heads.
Yep, I really love it. It's probably the only podcast that I listen to on one-time speed. If I could give a better...
I do speak quite fast.
Yes, well, also because there's lots of musical interludes, right? You listen to some of the song, you explain what's going on and what I should understand about it, and you can't listen to Talking Head songs on 1.8 speed. That doesn't make any sense.
Nah.
It takes me...
That's not how they were intended, man. Come
exactly. So I love it. I didn't know too much about the band until I listened to it, and I really enjoyed it. And I get to talk to you every week,
man.
So I wasn't even sick of you when I was listening to them, when I was binging them.
One interesting thing that we're hitting to in the season, I'm hitting in the season, is that we're really coming into the albums now with all the big hits. So it's like this is the time to get on board, and you can brag to your friends that you were on there before they discovered the ones that are about the big songs.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's my final thought.
It's a good final thought. It is a really good one. I don't have anything to... I've got no personal...
You plug all your things.
This is my side hustle. Yeah, plug all your things, Zach. Yeah. Well, maybe I'm working on maybe I've got heaps of pages of notes of a dumb Formula One RPG one-pager that isn't coming together as quickly as I'd like. But
oh, no.
I'm going to try and work that out. So I think it'll be fun.
I feel like we were meant to be working on that together, but it doesn't matter.
Like pen and paper, one-page RPG. I'm going to see if I can actually turn that into something, and you'll be the first person I call to playtest it with, Rod. You and probably 2 other friends required.
Love it.
We'll get there. That's a good summer project. I'm not doing too much Christmassy stuff because COVID. So many quiet, dark... God, it's so fucking dark in this country, Rod. I'm usually traveling or something, and it delays that feeling. But if you're sitting at your desk looking outside, working from home, and at 3:30 you're like, I'm going to have to turn all the lights on. It is so dark. And at 4:30 it's full night. And then you finish work at 6 o'clock, you have some food, you watch an episode of, Queen's Gambit or whatever, and then you're like, it must be time for bed. It must be 10 o'clock, and it's 8:12. You're like, Jesus, what am I going to do now for all this time? You just go to bed early. No, it's a weird feeling. No, you don't. You drink more beers out of your beer advent calendar. And you get ahead.
Oh, no. And sit underneath 10 sun lamps.
Yeah, you do heaps of planning for your F1 podcast so it can go seamlessly and on time.
Yes. Yeah, well, I mean, that's been a show. So we'll see you for the end of year show, which was going to be, there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff going on in that one. And man, what a year we've got to talk about. So that's going to be one that you won't want to miss. So stay subscribed. I know some people do, though. Yes, send us questions, yes. So here's all the bullshits where you should be doing that. You can email us at superlicenspodcast@gmail.com. That's superlicenspodcast@gmail.com. If I get any of these wrong or I speak too fast and you can't hear them, just go to superlicense.com.au and everything you need to know is right there. Or on Twitter at superlicense. You can join the Discord at Discord/the magic link thing. That'll be on our Twitter as well, and it'll be in the show notes for this episode if you want to join. That would be a good one to join for the off season if you want to stay connected to people, talk about testing and just, look at the cars. Oh, look at how cool is this car, blah, blah, blah. Can you believe that Red Bull signed Perez, all this rest of it? Big things coming for the Discord next year. We've been testing things behind the scenes in secret this year, clandestinely. People in the Discord know, but people outside the Discord have no idea. But there's big things, bigger and better things coming for the show and for the Discord. So again, you want to get in early so that you don't miss out. But that's how you get in touch with us, and we want you to do that.
Exactly. No, I haven't got anything to add to that. Just thankful for the people in the Discord because they've been chatting away on race weekend, and it was a bit of a lonely F1 weekend because it was such a boring race. So there was a bit of chat, which was nice.
Well, look, yeah, we've done our best to make the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix an interesting discussion. We've somehow eked it out to over 50 minutes, which is insane.
What?
Good job, us. Good job, us. And well done to you for listening and not skipping on. Well, I think it's time that we wrap it up, and I'm going to go to bed and you can go back to work.
Yay.
Or going back to feeling bad about how dark it is.
No, it's still
Is it time?
No, yeah,
okay.
Yeah, it's time. It's still time.
Until next time, which will be the end of season show. My name's been Rod.
My name has been Zach.
Take it easy, and we'll see you not at the next Grand Prix, but at the end of the year. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, yeah.